I switched to protein coffee a while back and it has been a game changer. So I'm going to share with you exactly why I switched, what it is, and how you can make it yourself. This is healthier, this is cheaper, and this just all around tastes better. What is protein coffee? Let's get into it. It is literally so good. Okay, hello friends, and welcome back to today's video. We talked over on Heavenly Minded Home a couple weeks ago. I was talking about my protein coffee. I've talked about it before, but we are going to give you just the full conversation with everything that you possibly need to know about protein coffee here today. So get ready, dive in. Good morning, how are you? Leave me a comment, let me know. Protein coffee is pretty much about as basic as it sounds. It is regular coffee, whatever coffee you like, decaf coffee, caffeinated coffee, like it doesn't matter, whatever the coffee is that you want. But the creamer used for it is essentially a protein shake. Okay, like that's the big grand secret of what protein coffee is. Hold on. It's my first cup I just made and haven't drank it yet. So I a while back started noticing that when I drank coffee I wasn't feeling great. I have a migraine problem. I've had it since I was a kid, and my migraines have only shifted as I'm like nearing 40. I ended up in the hospital a few years back. We genuinely thought I was having a stroke. It literally is my migraines. They have shifted. I didn't know this could happen until I was meeting with a neurologist. They have shifted, and I now have these stroke migraines. They have a very fancy name that I could never pronounce correctly. But essentially, I end up with migraines, but it is as if my body is having a stroke. Like I exhibit all the same symptoms. So it's not fun. But it really started making me look at some different things in my life and how I was doing them, and I was feeling like there was a connector to the coffee. Now, some doctors say maybe there could be, some say nah, probably not. I don't drink that much coffee, but point being, when I was drinking coffee, I was just feeling this very odd jittery feeling. I wasn't feeling good anymore. I don't know why. I have no idea why that changed. I don't drink any other caffeine. I don't drink soda. I don't drink a lot of things. So, it was very strange. But I had seen people talking about protein coffee, and I had seen reports from different studies talking about how eating high protein before consuming coffee was better for you and different things. And again, I was having this weird head stuff going on, so I thought, well, maybe that's connected. I'll be totally honest with you. I eat a carnivore, ketovore diet, so I eat a lot of protein, and my breakfast, if I'm eating breakfast, is bacon and eggs, okay? High protein. The thought of having to come out and make bacon and eggs, because I usually just make it for the whole family, but my family's not ready to eat that early in the morning. So then the thought of coming out and making all of that food first thing in the morning when I first got up, before I could have a cup of coffee, sounded awful to me. First world problems, I know, but that was like the kicker for why I tried out protein coffee, because I didn't want to have to make all that first thing in the morning. And I was like, oh, that's so much. I just want to come out and drink a cup of coffee. I know it's silly, but I like to just sit down in the quiet of the morning, have my me time where I'm, in prayer and reading or getting some work done or whatever it is that I'm doing, where I just have my cup of coffee and I enjoy. And so I'd seen people talking about protein coffee, and I said, okay, you know what? Let's give that a try. I'm not a big protein shake person. I don't like the taste of most of them. I like my, caramely, flavored coffee creamers. I don't know about this. I went ahead and got this. I'm going to share with you exactly what I got, exactly how I make it. I'm going to tell you to do the best for what's in your budget. The best that was in my budget I found is the whey protein from Walmart. It is their Equate brand. It is the cheapest you can possibly get. It is the cleanest I could find for the price point. That is the most carnivore compatible. Okay, I wanted something that didn't have a bunch of junk in it, didn't have a bunch of fillers in it, that was good, that was affordable. And I have found that this, for me, this container is, for us, it's like $18 something, and it lasts me a month and a half, depending on how much coffee I'm drinking. So it lasts me a good bit. Honestly, some months I think it's probably lasted me 2 even. I think some months I've skipped and only had to buy it every other month. So again, that's going to depend on how much coffee you drink, but a little bit goes a long ways. So I switched over to this protein coffee. Now, if you are used to drinking really, really sugary creamers, you might have to adapt your taste a little bit. Now, I personally had been giving up the sugary creamers for a while, They are awful for you. If your creamer is bought at the store and it isn't like I drink like a weirdo keto creamer for a while that was different, or, you're just doing, half and half or heavy whipping cream. If you are really used to those sugary creamers, there's probably going to be a bit of an adaptive period because your taste buds are so used to drinking all of that it might take a minute. But I'm saying it's worth it. And you might want to start by cutting back on how much of that creamer you're putting in. Maybe put less of that creamer and a splash of milk, and kind of start backing yourself off of it if you don't think you could go cold turkey. If y'all don't think that this is like an addictive problem that we're all discussing here, okay? So just call it what it is. Caffeine and sugar have the same triggers in our brain as those on drugs, like real drugs that we would consider. So just remember, like, you're literally talking addiction when you talk about coffees and sugar, especially if sugar's firing the same receptors in your brain as cocaine. Okay, just understand, I know that it could be a bit of a process. If you don't think you could go cold turkey, that's fine. My mom is like the most taste sensitive person, and I got her to try my protein coffee and she was like, okay, actually that's good. So I started making this protein powder and putting it in here, and what I get now, and I'll tell you, I get the vanilla one. I'm not really a vanilla person, okay? I'm a caramel. I like, there's many different things that I like. Vanilla is not one of them. I've never been a person who's like, ooh, vanilla, give me that flavor. So I'll just let you know, I picked vanilla. It's quite fantastic. You make the protein coffee. You put it in there, you shake it up. I have a blender bottle. You can froth it with I actually use that to mix mine. I'll show you how I do that, and I'll link everything down below so you guys can get it. But you mix it all up. It ends up being this just frothy goodness. Even if you're going to put it in like a cup and just pour some in and then froth it up before you pour your coffee in, however you want to do it, if you're not getting the blender bottle or whatever you're doing. I like getting the blender bottle because then it's really easy to froth it up each day. I just make this maybe twice a week in my container I have, and then I put it in the fridge, pull it out each morning, and it's like really easy to use even on a busy day. But you shake it all up, it's nice and frothy, you pour your coffee in. It is like having a cafe coffee every single day, but right from my own home, and it is costing me pennies compared to going out to a coffee shop. I take my kids, we rotate, and I have 4 kids. There's usually 4 weeks to a month. I take each kid individually each week out to a coffee date. It's a special thing. I have a special date day with each of our kids. My husband has a special date day with each of our kids, so we get that one-on-one time together. I will make a cup of this and drink it real quick before we go to the coffee shop because I prefer this. This makes me feel full. I am getting all of this protein. I am getting all of the good nutrients our body needs first thing in the morning, and a very delicious and easy to accomplish step, right? I make 2 cups of coffee. I really drink about 1.5 cups of coffee because it starts to get cold and then I usually give up. I don't finish it. I can drink this coffee. I'm no longer having the head issues I was having because I really do think it's because I'm getting all of this protein in with it, because I've noticed that if I'm out somewhere and I just get coffee out and about, I start to have those feelings come back again. So I really do think it is connected to the intake of protein. I feel full. I'm not consuming tons and tons of sugar because it doesn't contain hardly any at all. It's mixed with milk. There's not a bunch of additives. There's not a bunch of junk. There's not a bunch of anything else. I feel better when I drink this. My coffee tastes delicious when I drink this. Doing something like drinking this in the morning and then I take my Primal Queen, like before the day is even off to a full start, I have checked off 2 of my big health boxes to help me balance my hormones and take care of my body to the best of my ability. And it's been enjoyable. It's been easy. It's been lovely. And so this is how I make my protein coffee. If you have any questions, leave them down below, but I thought just explaining to you why on earth I do this in the first place, how I got started, and what I've noticed really would help you as you're trying to decide, is this something you should look into as well. So let me show you how I make it. So this is everything that you are going to need. And again, I will link this all down below. So if that can be easier for you, go for it. I use a blender bottle. Any will do. It's easy to store and keep it shaken up as needed. I also have this rechargeable frother that I use. I feel it just makes it easier. Of course, my favorite whey protein. I picked this up from Walmart. It is under $20 and I love it. I do have a storage container that I keep mine in the pantry. It just fits in better with everything else that I have. But again, do with it what you will. And then I mix mine with just regular 2% milk. Use organic if you can afford it, but do the best with what you've got. This is how I make it. I take my blender bottle, take out the actual little blender ball thing, and then I put 2 scoops of protein powder here in my bottle. I have had a half-size blender bottle that I use when traveling sometimes, so I only put 1 scoop in that one, but for this size, I go ahead and put 2 scoops in. I want my creamer usually to be a little bit thicker than thinner, and so I have found this is a pretty good consistency for making a creamer. Now, I go ahead and add only a little under half the bottle's worth of milk because we're going to get this really frothed up and mixed really, really well. So don't fill it all the way up yet. This really does froth up as you get going. It's quite amazing. But if you fill it up too far, you're going to have a really hard time getting this mixed up. And I do not want chunks of protein powder in my coffee. Ask me how I know. I've totally done that before. And I have found that taking my rechargeable frother to get this really mixed up first does make the process so much easier. So you can just do it like this and close up your blender bottle and shake it really well. You can do that, and I did that for a long time. I found that sometimes on day one I would still end up with a few chunks. Honestly, I'm just rushing it usually in the morning and I don't want to stand around and shake it for forever to get it mixed well, and so just using my rechargeable frother to get it mixed really, really well, I found works so much better. So you could do this manually with your blender bottle. You could do this with just like a spoon or something like that. Yes, you could do that, but I find this works a lot better. It gets it very frothy and just really combines super, super well. So this is why it's so important that you only fill it up with milk about halfway, because look how thick it's getting already. It's fantastic. I love it so much, but learn from my lessons the hard way. Make sure you get your frother all the way down to the bottom of the bottle to get anything that is settled down there, and make sure you don't fill it up too full with milk or you are going to be flinging creamer all over the place. So halfway up with that, and then I go ahead, I add the little blender ball back into the container. I go ahead and top it off with milk. Still leave a little bit of space on the top so it has some room to, you know, kind of move around, but I fill it up to kind of max capacity. Put your lid on and you have this ready for one last good shake. Once I get it all combined with the new milk, I like to kind of just give it a little bit more. And this here that I'm doing to shake it up is what I do on the norm. This is what's going to sit in my fridge. I usually do this about twice a week. Every morning I pull this bottle out. You've probably seen me in videos. I give it a good shake and that way it is ready to go and have some coffee. Now I just use standard coffee. I do have a coffee pot at my grandfather's house that we're living in part-time that like does fresh ground coffee, and it is delicious. It is so fantastic. It does like single serve things. I add my creamer here, play with the taste, figure out what works best for you. I put about that much in. I kind of just like enough that once I pour in the coffee, it kind of mixes well and, you know, comes to a good place that I'm happy with. But again, play with it a little bit so that way you get to what you like the most. So just like that, friends, you now have a delicious cup of protein coffee. Like I said, I keep it in that blender bottle and I just put it in the fridge each day. So that way the next day I can just pull it out, shake it up. I'm ready to go. I make a new blender bottle of my creamer about twice a week, maybe. So it lasts me a good bit, especially since you're frothing it up. I think that allows it to really, you know, stretch and go a lot further. Like I said, I buy one of these containers of protein coffee every month and a half to 2 months is, I think, usually about how long it takes me to get through it. And I have everything linked down below. So everything that I'm using, I linked it down there so you guys can go and check it out. I feel better when I drink this. I feel fuller longer because I've had all of this great protein. I might end up, making a little kind of, get some lunch meat and cheese or something, kind of in like the midpoint of the day. And then our family does like one meal a day. So late afternoon, we do our big carnivore ketovore meal, and I feel great. I feel good. I drink a lot of water, might have a cup of tea in the evening, but otherwise this protein coffee, man, I look forward to it. When we have traveled, I travel with my blender bottle full of protein powder, and then I've taken it on planes, and then when we get there, I just fill it up with some milk and have it in the, hotel fridge to use as we go. But it really does make it so simple and easy to have such a delicious cup of coffee wherever you are, whatever you're dealing with, but you feel better. You feel better. You're starting your day stronger. I feel like it's healthier for you in many different ways. It's not full of all that sugar, because most of us probably have a sugar addiction we are needing to address. You might not even realize how much of a sugar addiction you have because it is hidden in so many of our foods. And so getting it out of my coffee was a great start. Not starting my day with a bunch of sugar intake is a game changer. So check out those links down below. If you have any questions, if I left anything out or wasn't clear, just ask, let me know. Otherwise, that is all the secrets of my protein coffee that I love so very much, and I'm making every day and talking about just as often. So have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I will see you all right back here in the next video. Bye, friends.